Hey y'all, welcome back to Makeup with Allegra. And today I have a special guest on my show who is going to tell us more about a makeup school here in Albuquerque. So if you guys are into makeup and want to know where to go and where to start, this is the perfect episode for that. So welcome on.
Thank you.
Noel, how are you?
I'm great. How are you? Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, no, I'm so excited to have you on and to just see how like what you've done with makeup, and also the school that you have, the Southwest Makeup Institute.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to learn more about it.
Thanks.
But for the first part, can you tell us a little bit about yourself
Sure.
and how you got into makeup?
Yeah, of course. So I started makeup really early. I wanted to do makeup, but at the time, in like 2006-ish arena of time, it just was considered a hobby career and not like a career. So people would always be like, oh, you want to do makeup? So that means you're going to do hair. And I would always tell people, no, I really want to do makeup. Like I see myself just doing makeup, because when I would open magazines, that was the first thing that I noticed was the editorials with makeup. And so a little bit of sort of soul searching, because I didn't know which way to tackle it, especially in Albuquerque, because even as I've almost been a makeup artist 2 decades, and Albuquerque is still a tough market in certain aspects. We're like 5 to 10 years behind the curve in some ways. I hate to say that, but it's a little bit true. So I had to sort of like go my own way. And over the years, I sort of like created my own niche and my own market, which was photo shoots and portfolio building and development for makeup artists like myself and then other makeup artists, and kind of fell into training and education. And it wasn't something that I ever envisioned myself doing, but something that I really loved. I got hired in kind of like a higher position counter job for Chanel when I was really young, before I was even 21. And that really, even though it was a very short-lived stint, because I couldn't work in the retail environment, that was really tough and stifling for my spirit. But so I quickly realized I'm the type of person who needs to, like I said, go my own way, carve my own path, because it just didn't exist yet. So I like to say, I created an industry that didn't exist yet here in Albuquerque. So not to be too, but I knew what I wanted to do. And so I just started working with photographers from out of town and bringing them here and sort of creating this hub for creatives to develop their careers. And I've kind of been doing that ever since.
That is awesome. That is so cool.
Thank you.
Have you actually worked on like any film sets or any sets like that? Yeah.
So when the film industry started getting really big here in Albuquerque in about 2008, I thought that's for sure what I wanted to do, because all of the makeup artists in town, there was a big buzz about working in movies. A good friend of mine, Ashlyn Padilla, who was the key for Better Call Saul and a bunch of other, she's worked on everything now, but we were working at the same educational institution at the time. It was a beauty school that no longer exists, but she was teaching their program. She got called on to set for her first set position, and so I took over her teaching load, and that's how I got into my actual teaching and education curriculum development world. But during all of that, I kind of tried to break into film a little bit too, just to kind of see if that's what I wanted to do. Worked on some independent stuff. Ashlyn taught me everything I know. I mean, she did like some short little classes with me, taught me what an Illustrator palette was and all of that, which I'm forever grateful. But it just wasn't my thing. I worked as department head for a local TV show called The After Party with Stephen Michael Quesada, way back. So I got to work with the people from Breaking Bad, and I had never watched an episode, so it was really awkward to see people, just like losing their mind and bringing posters for people, for Aaron Paul and all of those people to sign.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I was just like, what is all the buzz about? I wouldn't watch it until like 10 years in the future. But now, which at that point I understood what the buzz was all about.
Yeah, for sure.
But that was like my realest job in production, and it wasn't my thing.
Yeah.
I'm a free bird.
Yeah, well, that's cool.
I have to fly.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and that's really cool. That you like to do more on your own type of stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that's awesome, because that's what I really would love to do.
Yeah.
As much as I love film, I really want to kind of just work for myself and like work on my own.
Yeah.
Which can also be very hard. So
yeah, well, I mean, I always say it's hard, but it's always worth it. Working for yourself or for your own, your own freelance company, because I developed my own freelance company, which I've sort of was my springboard for everything, because I started in heavy bridal industry and doing heavy volume weddings alongside my education and all of that. And it is tough, but I think that if you have a vision for yourself and you know that working for yourself is the reward, because some people will have an entrepreneurial vibe, but they're not sure why. They're not sure if it's the creativity that they're interested in. For me, the biggest reward is never the money. It's never the opportunities. It's never who you work with. It's just that you work for yourself and you create your own schedule. And that's something that I will never take for granted. Because it's the best. It really is.
No, that's awesome. Yeah. That's so cool. What would you prefer? Do you prefer doing special effects makeup or beauty makeup?
Beauty.
Beauty.
Not even necessarily beauty. I'm more of like I have a love and appreciation for all makeup in general. I view it as a transformative art form, and I appreciate all paths. But if I could be doing what I want to do all the time, every day on every client, it would be super avant-garde, high fashion, Pat McGrath inspired, texture, color, mixing medium, rhinestones, gemstones. That's kind of where my heart is. But I also love teaching it. I love breaking every little thing down and making sure that it's digestible and people can just do it really easily and really effectively, because so much of makeup and makeup artistry in general is how fast you can do it. I always tell my students, like, if you could be the best artist, talented, beautiful makeup, but if it takes you 2 hours to do it, you're not gonna they'll select the person who can do it in 30 minutes, a little less polished, and speed training for things like that. But I love avant-garde editorial, high fashion makeup for sure.
For sure. No, I like the glitter that you have on your eyes. That's why I was like,
I'm a glitter queen. I'm a glitter hoe forever. That's sort of glitter. Glitter is life.
No, it's always good to have that glitter on the eyes.
Agreed. You got to represent, represent that brand.
Yeah, for sure. So y'all obviously don't know, but how I met Noel and how I even found out about Southwest Makeup Institute was going to the local 480 Film and TV Expo, and I saw your booth there, and it was so cool. Like,
Thanks.
That was the first time I even found out that there was a makeup school out here, and even seeing your booth last year, it was really cool. Do you get a lot of people that come to the booth? When we do the Film Expo, so the 2 years that we've done it, we get absolutely swamped. So many people come through and want information. So many people are surprised that there's a makeup school here, and that's always something that I'm frustrated about. Because we're like going into our 6th year already, as the first and only makeup school devoted to artistry and only artistry that's in the city, and we're still the only makeup school and institution that trains for film unions specifically,
that grants union days. That's a huge part of our program that people don't know about that are trying to break into film.
Yeah.
Is that as part of our certification, you do get half of the required days to enter the union. So even if you're not someone who maybe makeup is not your thing, like we just got a student in this past cycle who did a lot of stand-in work and had worked in film quite a bit. And she was like, I don't know, let me just try to dip the toe in makeup and see if I like it. And she is so good at it.
Oh,
like
wow.
She's so good at it. It's
Yeah.
kind of like she weaseled her way in to find her exact niche, in what she's great at. And it's amazing to see that happen where people are sort of like, I want the union days or I want to break into film, and they end up finding their kind of their life passion and being really good at it. But yeah, the Film Expo, we get tons of people. A lot of them that come through are very young, like yourself, that are like pre-college, still in high school. So whether or not we see them in class is always like a little iffy. Every once in a while we'll get one through the door. But I think it's just one of those things where makeup is a weird career path, right? Because it's so artistic, it's so creative, and like we were talking about before we started today, a lot of people will just go their own way and say, well, I don't need school, or I don't need a professional training. But the way that it can expedite your career is insane. Like how much further, faster. That's what our whole philosophy is if you want to do makeup and if you're serious about it, we can send you basically everywhere you want to go.
Yeah, and I think that's awesome. It kind of gives like a cool base and an area to start and to grow from.
Totally.
Which is really cool.
Yeah.
Because like you said, this is the only makeup school in New Mexico, in Albuquerque.
No, in New Mexico. In the whole state.
Yeah. I haven't heard any other one, and I was
That's because it doesn't exist.
I know. I know. I'm like, we need this.
We really do. We've needed it for a long time, and it's always sort of amazing to me as someone who I taught for a long time, progressive trainings for makeup artists in both beauty and effects. I didn't teach the effects class that I offered through my business. Bonnie Mason, another incredible IATSE artist. She taught it for a long time and still does for us here and there when she's available. But yeah, it's one of those things where because it exists, like I always say, if this existed when I was wanting to do makeup artistry, I would have been so excited because it's a short training. It's super, super short in the scheme of your life. Our core classes are 8 weeks and it's only once a week. All of the theory and fundamentals are self-paced and remote during the week. You're in for one super hands-on, fast-paced, industry feeling clinical day, hands-on clinical practice, and then you get a 4-week mentorship with one of our partnered artists.
Nice.
So you're making connections in you're networking with other with other artists that are long working artists in the field and the most reputable ones in the industry here, and making those connections. They've hired our students straight out of school. You're getting union days. You're building a resume that really you would not see unless you were in the industry 3 to 5 years.
And no, that's incredible what you guys do, and just even bringing connections, because that's the number one thing that you hear is you need to have those connections.
Yeah, it's who you know.
And who you know, and how to get to where you want to be. But so as far as the school goes, how did the school even come about? How is it here? Where did you get the idea from?
Sure. Well, funny story. Like I said, I had taught for a long time a 5-week professional training that it was 5 weeks, 2 nights a week, pretty casual. And I taught that for a long time, a decade, a long time. Trained a lot of artists that ended up creating big, successful artistry businesses, freelance businesses, film businesses. And then I wanted to stop. I wanted to quit teaching and education, because I was feeling a little bit burnt out. Kind of wanted to focus on my own freelance career, but I heard the Netflix buyout was happening, and when I heard the Netflix buyout was coming, that's when a light bulb went off. Because on the radio, they were like, "We're going to need a lot of, we're going to have to partner with lots of post-secondary institutions and places so that we can really make sure that New Mexico has a gainfully employable film workforce." And I was like, ding. And that opportunity, just kind of shouted at me, where I was like, okay, yes, you're getting burnt out, but knowing what I know now, having done this so long, when you're burnt out on something is often, not always, but sometimes when you need to push harder.
Yeah.
And that was a circumstance where I needed to push harder to the other side. Yeah. And would keep on pushing for quite a while, but because it was not easy to establish. But I heard that was going on, and meetings just kept sort of like setting themselves up for me and aligning, because I really was getting focused and obsessed with it. And so I met, long story short, with or not long story, it's still a long story, but trying to shorten it, was able to meet with the IATSE training department that reviewed the curriculum and vetted, my background and my education platform and everything that I was trying to bring to Albuquerque. They approved it, were excited about it, supportive, and the state was not. The state was not supportive in the nicest way I can possibly say it. They were very antagonistic toward the idea of a makeup school, just because, like in the beginning of the interview, New Mexico and Albuquerque especially always being kind of like behind the curve with go to Texas, you can do anything quickly, get a certificate or a license, and they break everything up into like smaller categories so that people can focus on that specific thing. But here they were basically like, it's not a cosmetologist, it's not a skincare specialist or an esthetician, so you either exist like that or you don't exist. Wow. And I had already launched. I mean, they came after me very aggressively, literally the day before my course that was sold out was supposed to launch.
Wow.
So in working on developing the school, I also, over the course of years, had to systematically defend my right to exist in the market with the state. And that was really hard, but it was so many good lessons. And luckily I have a very lawyery heart and was able to defend myself in a way that was great. And I'm proud of myself for that, and proud of how hard I worked to defend it and to keep it on the ground and to keep it open. For sure. And they eventually left me alone. So
that's awesome. I'm so glad.
Me too.
I'm glad that they backed off now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I had support from. We had exempt status under the Department of Higher Education and everything. Yeah. And they still wanted to aggressively come after what I was doing. Wow. So, I don't tell that story to many people, but I think it's an important story to tell as an entrepreneur and as a creative, because sometimes what you want to do is not just like, I put it on the map and there it is and we're done. Yeah. You have to really push and fight for something to exist. Yeah. And now that it exists and has existed, the amount of people that have gotten something from it and have like established careers because of it, that's why I fought so hard.
Yeah, no, and that's amazing. Like, Katharsis Media, we filmed a show called Broadway Bound Live, and some of the students,
they shadowed on it,
yeah, and it was cool meeting them, and they actually told me a lot about what they've learned, and it's really cool.
They were a great class. That was a great class.
Yeah, and it's really cool to see how much they've grown, and like, just everything they were telling me, like, it seemed amazing. Yeah. And all like the opportunities they have, like, like you're doing really great with these students, and like seriously, they like even on that show they did amazing.
They
like,
did so great. Yeah, we saw all of the work from that, and the feedback that we got from everybody who worked on it was great. But they were a great class, and that's the thing is, I can't take the only credit that I take is you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. And the students that want to drink, I mean, they go everywhere fast, and they fly because, like I said, we give people the opportunities, the information, but our standards are very high. Yeah. And some people, when they come into the program with an expectation that it's just a makeup school, it's the wrong expectation because we are a private institution. I'm a mean bitch. Just kidding. I'm not mean, but I rule over my shit. You know, like I have high expectations for what I want to create. I have high expectations for the type of student I want to put out into the world because it's a competitive market. And if you are seeding the market with a bunch of people who, for lack of a better term, suck, then that comes back to you as someone who provides education, even though it technically shouldn't, because everyone, you know, is guided by their own principles. But at the end of the day, the students that really absorb everything and come open and ready for an opportunity are just like superstars. And working full time within a year or two of graduating. So.
No, that's great. No, and that's the number one thing is just you have to want it.
Totally. About anything. You have to want it.
And I have to say, makeup is a really big career, and it's a lot of people don't think that when you tell them like, oh, I want to do makeup. They're like, oh, just like 5-year-old makeup, like just simple makeup.
So you want
it's like no, and it's like no, like actual like professional makeup, and that's really cool. And I seriously like, it's so cool to see what the students are doing now. Like I know
that means a lot. Thank you. We work really hard to do that. So
and if anybody else wants to apply to register for the school, where can they go to register?
So on our website, it's just southwestmakeupinstitute.com. There is a brand new course guide that you can download and review all of the course information, the curriculum, policies and things like that before registering, and then you can just register online.
Awesome.
So you put down a deposit and then the remainder gets paid. We have little payment plans available, but we like to try to keep it at a cost that is more accessible because a lot of people want to do the training, and with the impending recession and things like that, we really sort of like worked hard this year to tweak things to where we could make it more accessible for people. So people can register online. We do cap the class at a small amount of students, but as long as a registration option is up and available, we have spaces open. Awesome. And the next course starts in June 4th.
Awesome. Well, that is incredible.
Thank
you. What was the last thing I was going to ask you? I'm sorry, like my brain's going everywhere because there's so many things I want to ask you, and like, but in the end, like you are doing really good, and like your goals for the students is really amazing.
Thanks.
And I hope if any of you guys want to go join, go register now.
Register now.
Yes, go register. Learn, because you guys go over like all the brushes and like all the details.
Go over everything. So we're very fundamentals oriented, because fundamentals are really, if you don't have a foundational, no pun intended, base to work from, it's hard to establish a successful career. Because you can kind of like, you'll have a lot of unanswered questions about, like, am I using the right thing? Are my sanitation procedures proper for the environment that I'm working in? If I'm working in film or if I'm working in bridal, we're very, very, very strict on those things. Closing emollient-based palettes immediately after removing product with a spatula or a palette knife or whatever. So there's a lot of knowledge that needs to be gained early on, and then we're also very, very serious about training good artists with good etiquette, so that people want to work with them. Learning how to work in in any environment, in film environments, in a tent, in a trailer, in the desert, in a high-end resort. It's so important to make sure that your, punctuality and things are on time. We're very, very strict with no call, no show policies and things like that. And I like to say, at the beginning of class, if there's anything that feels like it's an arbitrary rule, nothing is arbitrary in this program. It's all built from and like backward engineered from a basis of industry standards. And making sure that you come out of school knowing those industry standards, having a kid that's industry standard, and a personality that's industry standard.
And that's everything you need for this.
It is. The rest of it comes with time, and you'll still make lots of mistakes and have lots of people yell at you. And you have to thicken up that skin, and you'll really enjoy your career in it if you just go into it knowing it's going to be work, but you're going to love it.
For sure, No, that is great. And also when you register, and I know that you've told me about this before, but you get makeup included in it?
So our kits are, like I said, industry standard. So everything is going to be very, very high end. I like to try to order more independent brand. Like for example, our palettes, we switched over to like a higher end formulation that's synthetic mica, so there's no mining, child labor, mining, sketchy trade involved in those practices. It's cruelty free, it's talc free, so things like that I am really big on. But of course, obviously realizing that pigment is everything, and saturation, color saturation, and everything. So the kit is awesome. I love our kit. Past classes, I've changed it up 1,000 times, which people will laugh watching this because it's very true, but it's because I'm always trying to find better things. I'm always trying to get people like the best of the best, and I love makeup still. 20 years, almost 20 years in, I'm still very passionate about product knowledge and new brands and formulations and things like that. So I try to bring that energy into the kit as well. And then the effects stuff, of course, is all industry standard. It's going to be small, Illustrator palette, tattoo cover, 3rd degree, things like that.
Oh, that's awesome. No, that's great that it comes with registering, so you don't have to go and like find all the makeup everywhere. No, there's a few things that people depending on budget will add lots to their kit or a little bit. And there's just little things that you have to buy, like spray bottles to label for like 99% alcohol and things like that. Setup station towels and brush cups, because we do require that your brushes are in 2 different containers labeled ready for use and not ready for use, and that there's no cross-contamination of brushes. I'm always like amazed at still even like professional artists who have been doing it a long time and the sanitary protocol that they're not following. So we are very, very, very big on that, especially after COVID, because I think all of that became clear and came into focus. How gross. For sure. How gross makeup is in certain ways, like when you're washing brushes, and if you're not using a higher level of sanitation other than just washing them, it's actually really kind of nasty. There's so much buildup in just all the makeup and stuff. And you're working on clients that sometimes have cold sores or have, and we train people how to follow protocol for that and make sure to set that aside and in a contaminated container. And so it's just bringing rules to the game that really needed to be brought. And that's my next phase plan of being in this industry, is to actually, I've written rules, statutes, and everything for makeup artists specifically. So I'm hoping to roll that out in the next year or 2, like an actual system for makeup artists. To have like a rule book to follow. No, that's awesome. That's great. Definitely have to have sanitary stuff, because it's necessary. It needs to happen. It gets real gross real fast. It's especially when you're like even just washing your brush. It's not the best way, but just washing it, all the makeup that comes out of it, and it's like you think it's clean. And then sometimes when you lay them, that's why you always want to lay them down to dry on a white paper towel, because
as they dry, they drain. And if it drains with color still, then it's not clean. And that's how you can always tell if you're not like fully cleansing a brush, is if it's still draining color, then it's not fully clean.
That's a good idea. That's a good way to know. I'm already learning stuff right now. Well, this is awesome. But no, this was great. Thank you so much for coming on my show. Of course,
it's my pleasure. It was so fun.
Yeah, I was really excited to have you on to talk about the skull. And yeah, if you guys are interested, go to Southwest Makeup Institute, their website, and go register, go have fun.
We're on Instagram, we're on Pinterest, we're not on TikTok, because I'm too old for that.
Well, y'all go follow Southwest Makeup Institute on Instagram, and if you guys have any questions or any opinions on today's episodes, you can post it on Instagram and tag me in it, and I would love to see what you guys have to say about this episode.
Be nice.
Yeah. Please don't be mean. But thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Thank you for having me. It was really fun.
Yeah.
It was really fun.
Yeah, and who knows, maybe I'll be signing up for the fall one.
Yeah.
Which I'm planning to, so I'm super excited. But yeah, so I will see you guys next time. Bye.